Andy says read. Okay, guys. Oh, welcome to the channel. Okay, guys. Today we're going to do a review of Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. This book, well, let me give you the specs first. All right, the specs are this is 192 pages. This hardcover edition was published in 2015 from HarperCollins. Now, originally, this was the letters were published in 1976 from George Allen and Unwin. But in 1999, again in 2004, HarperCollins had an edition of this that included some previously unreleased material. And then this hardcover, nice collectible edition was done in 2015. This is a collection of letters that Tolkien wrote to his children, starting in 1920, when John was 3. He started with a letter to John, and all the way through 1943, I think, was the last letter to Priscilla. He wrote letters each year to the kids, from Father Christmas and also from other characters that lived at the North Pole and helped Father Christmas. He wrote these letters, some of them very endearing, some of them kind of a sign of the times that they were going through, some of them just cute and almost comical, just really lovely letters to his children, sharing with them the Christmas spirit and sharing with them little messages. Some of these letters have poetry in them, poems about the polar bear, poems about stuff going on in Father Christmas's life. Just wonderful letters, and pictures. He drew pictures as well for the kids, pictures of scenes of what's going on up at the North Pole and at Cliff House at the North Pole. Just cool stuff that is just whimsical and fun and wonderful. I loved it. I enjoyed reading through this, and I wanted to share a little bit of it with you all. As I do, I'll share a couple of passages out of here without trouncing on the copyright. But let's see if there was anything specific. Oh, yes. Okay. So I wanted to point out that true to Tolkien's nature, there is a section in here where he is introducing a language to the kids in one of the letters. Let me see if I get the right page 46. Okay, here we go. One of the characters that shares information with the kids, or that helps Father Christmas write letters, is Polar Bear. And here, let me go over. I marked this page so I could show you some of the writing that Tolkien shared with the kids from Mr. Polar Bear. Look, there is a letter that Polar Bear has scrawled, and he's like apologizing for his fat paw, and how his writing comes across because his paws are kind of thick, which I thought was clever and intriguing. Then in 1929, Tolkien is having Polar Bear write to the kids, and he's talking about the language that they use up at the North Pole, because it's not English, it's Arctic. And Arctic is spelled A-R-K-T-I-K. And he says, Father Christmas says, my English spelling is not good. I can't help it. We don't speak English here, only Arctic, which you don't know. We also make our letters different. I have made mine like Arctic letters for you to see. We always write, and he shows a little up arrow, for T and V for you. This is some Arctic language, which means goodbye till I see you next, and I hope it will be soon. And then he has it written out, and I'm not going to even attempt to read that, but he writes out another language for the kids. PB, Polar Bear. My real name is Karhu, but I don't tell most people. I like letters, and I think Christopher's are nice. Just cute little messages to the kids, but he's introducing another language to the kids and making up this whole other language that has whole other words in it, because that's what Tolkien did. I mean, he taught language as a professor and was seeped in it, and we all know he has so many languages that he included in his Middle Earth and other stories. Wonderful. Let's see, what else did I want you guys to see? Oh, okay. During the time that he was writing these letters to his kids, Europe was involved in a war at one point, and I was comforted by some of the things he included in the letters for his kids. I mean, in 1933, there was a war going on over in Europe. And so let's see, page 101, I wrote down here pages 101 to 108, that Christmas letter. He was telling the kids about a goblin war that was going on up at the North Pole. And speaking of how, Father Christmas and his folks were dealing with the Goblin War and how he would be triumphant. And there was a message of hope in the letter. And if you read between the lines, this message of hope was in all of those letters during that wartime. And on page 107, it says, "They have rescued all my reindeer. We are quite happy and settled again now and feel much safer." And I liked that idea, being given to the children, because in 1933, John would be the eldest. He would be 16 at that time, but the other kids are younger, so they're living with war around them. And I mean, we all know history. It was a bleak time, but he was offering some hope and some good messages to the kids here. And he even has Polar Bear saying, "And Father Christmas, I wish I could draw or had time to try. You have no idea what the old man can do. Lightning and fireworks and thunder of guns!" Exclamation point. So even Polar Bear is giving the kids this idea that Father Christmas, he can handle himself, and he can thwart those goblins. And I liked that message. I liked that I don't know, that sense of security that was being given to the kids. I liked that idea. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you guys? The elf. At one point, of course, Tolkien introduced an elf named Ilbereth. I might not be pronouncing it right, but he introduced an elf helper up there at the North Pole who was helping him to get his gifts together and his letters written. And she actually, the elf actually helps writes a couple of the letters to the kids. I had page 140 mentioned, but I couldn't help thinking of, when Tolkien was in the Inklings Club, and with Lewis and Lewis's brother, and who are all the others at there? Barfield and Cecil McCullum. I'm forgetting all the other Inklings. I'm forgetting all the others, but brain fart, right? But I can just picture those others, saying to him, "Oh, those elves again," right? But he even had the elves coming up in his letters to the kids for Christmas. This was a charming book, Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. Even if you can't get the nice collectible hardcover from 2015, I so recommend getting a copy of this book and going through it and just enjoying it, for the pictures, the illustrations, the prettiness of it, just the soothingness of it. It was lovely. It was great. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. There's more Christmas content coming. So like, follow, subscribe, whatever you need to do with the channel here, and happy holidays.